atoms for peace. And how far can you extend that? To nuclear bombs. Project Plowshare and its Soviet equivalent, Energy Verzlia Daila Neradnago Kostavyasta, nuclear explosion for the national economy, were plans to use nuclear bombs for peaceful purposes such as creating harbors, widening canals, building mountain passes, stimulating natural gas, isotope production, putting out gas fires, and others. It's the early 1950s and Atoms for Peace is in full swing. At the UN on December 8, 1953, President Eisenhower proclaimed this.
To the making of these fateful decisions, the United States pledges before you, and therefore before the world, its determination to help solve the fearful atomic dilemma, to devote its entire heart and mind to find the way by which the miraculous inventiveness of man shall not be dedicated to his death, but consecrated to his life.
In June 1957, the Atomic Energy Commission started Project Plowshare, name taken from a section of the Bible. One of the first serious proposals was Project Chariot, proposed by the Atomic Energy Commission in 1958. This was a plan to create a harbor in America's newest state, Alaska. Championed by Edward Teller, who is director of Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory and called father of the hydrogen bomb, Alaskan institutions rallied in support. But the local population living there opposed it, as well as environmentalists from across the nation. Little practical use for the harbor was found, and this led to the project being stopped.
Detonate.
Another proposal was Project Carryall, a plan to blast a pass through the Bristol Mountains of California and realigning the Santa Fe Railroad and provide a route for Interstate 40. 23 explosions would blow a cut around 360 feet deep and remove 60 million cubic yards of rock. A feasibility study was conducted in 1963, but concern from the public about safety led it to being dropped in 1968. The first test in support of the program was on December 10, 1961, Project Gnome near Carlsbad, New Mexico.
To make new kinds of chemicals. These are just some possibilities. Here I have with me a piece of soil from a mine in New Mexico. There, in the Gnome site, we have performed an explosion to find out the behavior of nuclear explosives in this new medium, soil. And we perform that explosion for peaceful purposes alone. We try to find out whether we can deposit great amounts of energy in the soil and then extract it later for useful purposes. We built up a physics laboratory right down there in the salt mine to find out more about the neutrons which make nuclear explosives and nuclear reactors tick. We try to do the best to develop further this great tool, nuclear energy, for peaceful purposes. But at the very outset, we were convinced of one thing. The most interesting thing that we might find out may be something which no one expects, a surprise.
On May 17th, when the hole was entered, it was still 140 degrees Fahrenheit inside. In 1962, on July 6th, the largest man-made crater in the United States was created. This was the Sedan test, creating a crater about 1,280 feet wide and 330 feet deep.
The 100-kiloton nuclear explosion excavated more than 6 million cubic yards of earth in a matter of seconds. The result was a crater more than 1,200 feet in diameter, the length of 4 football fields, and 325 feet deep, the height of a 32-story building, created in less time than it takes to describe it.
In 1949, Soviet UN Representative Andrei Vyshinsky stated, "Nuclear explosion for the national economy would be a much bigger project than Plowshare. Plowshare conducted only 27 tests, it conducted over 100. Nuclear explosion for the national economy was only started in the mid-1960s. The biggest was the January 1965 Chagan test, where a 140 kiloton device was used to create a crater 1,300 feet wide and 330 feet deep. The crater was later filled up with water and is still mildly radioactive. Yefim Slavsky, head of the Ministry of Medium Machine Building, the Soviet Nuclear Authority, went on a swim in the lake, and the water was used by cattle. On December 1st, 1963, a drill caused a fire at the Erta Bulak gas field in Uzbekistan. It burned for 3 years. Desperate engineers tried everything, but nothing worked. After 3 years, they proposed using a nuclear device. This would destroy the passage through gas was escaping. It worked. After the 1970s, both projects were cancelled. Plowshare was ended due to a lack of potential applications and public pressure, and nuclear explosions for the national economy ended under Gorbachev's disarmament drive.